I'm Aleksandr Meshkov, and I'm working for FirstLine Software. So FirstLine Software is a software development international company. I think we have more than 500 employees around the world. So we have different development centers in Montenegro, Poland, Czech Republic, United States, Netherlands, and other countries. And so we are looking for a talent who maybe will be appreciated to work with us, and if you're one of them, you're welcome. But today I want to talk about quality assurance, and please, I need to know how much software engineers here. Okay, great. Software development. Oh, software testing engineers. Sorry. So yeah, right, great. So let's start. Okay. Today we will talk about some interesting approach of software testing, about behavior-driven testing and model-based testing. Do you know some of them? Maybe put your hand up. Oh, yeah, great. So I think my presentation will be meaningful for you. And so about me, a little bit. I have, I think, more than 10 years experience in quality assurance. Sometimes I like to represent, I know myself, my company in different conferences. So let's begin. I want to start with the history of software testing a little bit. I don't know, maybe you know, maybe not, so I think it will be interesting for you. So, maybe you know that the first mention about software testing was in 1948 by Gerrit Weger, who was created the first software testing team and in his project. So, during 20th century, software testing was mostly manual. And the first mention about automation testing was in 1999. It was Mark Feuer and Dorothy Graham who written the book where they described, I think, the first software automation testing strategy. So, if you take a look on the pyramid of evolution of software testing and automation testing, of course, you will see, as I said, during the 20th century, software testing was mostly manual, and since 21st century, automation testing has been evolving so quickly amid agile methodology, DevOps practices, and so on. And right now, the second level of evolution is script-based testing. It's a common approach where you usually use like page object model to automate your system, and you need to create your automation scripts for each cases. So, the next level is, oops, we have failed. Okay. So, the next level is keyword-driven testing. This approach can help you to simplify to work with your automation test and give you opportunity to transform your automation testing to behavior-driven testing. So, in the last two model is software testing approach based on model. It's a very, very specific approach. And the top of pyramid is automation test design. I think it's a really high level. In the simple word, I would say that is like you can automate off circle of automation testing, of software testing, from test design to test execution with minimal participant in your software testing engineers as a resource. So, but unfortunately, a lot of companies usually face with the trouble and maybe some bottlenecks when they try to work with automation tests. And I try to find out why does it happen. And so I like read sometimes. And the last World Quality Report 2023, I found some interesting point about it. So first of all, automation testing usually organized as a separate activity, independent from development and testing itself. And of course, it's a common mistake. The second point, when you start to implement automation testing, you really forget about defining testing strategy, testing goals, and so on. And of course, when you decide that, I know, your framework, automation framework, doesn't support, I don't know, your process and you want to improve it, for example, you don't have opportunity to do it quickly because you have a lot of restrictions. I don't know, maybe you have a lot of customization features from your framework, and so you need like remove your framework and create something new because you didn't think about it when you started your project. And of course, sometimes I see this quote like, our automation testing doesn't work properly, we can trust automation tests, and we prefer to work as a manual testers because it is easy. And if you take a look at a typical automation process, we will see that more automation tests you have, then less time you have to support it, to create another one, because you need to concentrate on supporting current automation tests, and so it's a big problem because if you want to increase coverage of your automation test, you need to hire a new employee, you need to increase your budget, and so it's really, really awful, I think. And why does it happen? Like, it's what I saw in different projects. The first point, I think, is really critical point because sometimes I saw that automation experts still write test cases, rewrite test cases after manual testers, and create the code simultaneously. It's like a double work, and so I think the first point is the reason for a second, because test cases are growing faster and you don't have enough capacity to support it, and so after that you decided that your automation test doesn't work, you don't have opportunity to to find a way how create your automation testing framework, your automation test better in terms of, I don't know, execution different tests from your project. So, and of course, the second point is right now we have like considerable gap between developers and QA, especially between manual QA and automation QA, and so if you want to achieve efficiency of your automation testing process, first of all, you need to change your habit. Because I want to tell you about some interesting approach, and if you in a second level you use a script-based technique, first of all what you need to do is implement keyword-driven testing. So keyword-driven testing is a scripting technique that uses data files, data source, and other resources to contain the keywords related to system under test. So, there are three types of keywords: it's item, functions, and sequences. So, if you want to create a test case using keyword-driven testing, first of all, you need to divide your current test cases and find keywords of your test cases like this. So here you can see the example like test case create order, and before work with this test case, you need to determine a different sequences of these test cases. So, for example, like in sequence, you need to determine different types of keywords like functions, items. After that, you need to determine operations and parameters. When your login sequence will done, so you can add this sequence in your test case, and so keyword-driven testing works like building blocks. You can create your automation test using these different blocks, keywords, without specific knowledge of programming languages. And so, it can give you a lot of benefits. I want to highlight some of them. First of all, it's easy to support and modify, because if you have a new feature, you don't need to rewrite all your test cases. You can only change your keywords, which was being impacted, and add it in your test cases. So the second, that keyword-driven testing gives you opportunity to involve your manual testers in automation testing process. So if you want to simplify your automation tests more, Or you can do the next step. It's implement Cucumber plugin and use Gherkin languages to describe your test cases. I think you know what is it, because it's very, very popular language. It's a business buildable language that helps you to describe your test cases. And using Gherkin languages, you can involve in work with your automation test, like product manager, business analyst, and other members of your team. And this is like a simple example how it can be work. So you have a user story. After that, you can like transform your user story to feature files with using Gherkin languages, and after that you can use like different frameworks. There are a lot of like JBehavior, Appium, SpecFlow, Serenity, and using keyword-driven testing approach, you can create different automation tests and run it. So, and of course you can add new keywords in your database, and then more keywords you have, yes. You will see after this how easy to support your automation test. And another point that I have a very, very good experience in my previous job, in my previous project, where we try to transform from classic-based approach to behavior-driven testing. And oh, sorry, yeah. And what we done? First of all, we give up writing classic tests. Classic test is like when you have like expected result, current results, preconditions, and steps. So we taught our manual test works with integrated development environment and create test cases there. Yes, and after that we created like migration scripts that can help us to export our test cases from IDE and downloaded our quality management system. So yes, and we reduce our like time of test design, I think for maybe 2 times. Yes. The second is a really vital point, I think. If you decide that you want to improve your automation testing process, you need to find a good guy from your project who have a very great experience with your system and knowledge about your system, and assign it as a test analyst and project. Like my strategy means that you need like involve manual and automation testers to work with automation testing project together. And manual tester is a customer for automation test, and they need to be like a product manager, product owner, doesn't matter, and set to do it some task for automation test. Manual testers should review test cases and execute it after that. So, and if you organize your process like this, you will see that your automation tester will be enough time to work a really interesting task. For example, create new plugin, support your automation test, and create new features, drivers, and so on, and like optimize your automation process. And it's like activity which automation testers should do. Not writing test cases, not writing, like test design, projection, someone else. So, it's my like a little bit. I told you a little bit about behavior-driven testing, and right now I want to show you the second approach, model-based testing. It's absolutely different approach. And before I start, imagine that you have like a simple test case when you have like different steps, and I call this case like direct forward. So when you start to test your application, you need to do it to execute your test case like step by step, and finally you will see a result, I think. Yes, for example, fail or pass, doesn't matter. So it's like a sequence, yes, of different steps. But if you want to talk about software testing in terms of model-based testing, you need to forget all of this. Because model-based testing is absolutely different approach, and if you want to understand how it works, I try to explain you. So imagine that you have a sequence as on the previous slide. We have 6 steps. But I think you know that your application usually have a lot of different branch flows, and your business process is not direct forward. So like this, yes. The general feature of model-based testing that you need to look at your system as a state machine. Do you know what is a state machine? Okay, great. So. State machine is a mathematical model that groups all your possible occurrences called states. Every state of system is evaluated and showing all possible interactions between your subjects and objects. So here you can see an example of authorization form where you can see a login page, reset password page, wrong email, and so on. And you can see also transactions and events which should be done before if you want to move from one state to another. So model-based testing, as I said, it's an approach which can use as a state machine model. And the second point that test cases doesn't exist. If you want to think that you need to create test cases, it don't work. Because you need to create only a test model of your states. Maybe you remember some technique from your K training called state transition diagram. So this is a place where you can apply this technique. So, and how it works? So it's a simple example how model-based testing work. It's a framework, Graph Walker, and he used the theory of algorithm. And here you can see how Graph Walker are bypassing of different state of your application and using, I think, a generic algorithm. If you want, you can read about algorithm in the internet. So algorithm is like a mathematical model that can help you to help our framework to decide what kind of ways they need to test. So one critical point about it. So you need to have a entrance, and you need to empty and you need to have an exit from your process. So. And if you have a fail, yes, you will see it. The state will be red. So that's all. System software testing is done. So let's try to compare model-based testing and behavioral testing in terms of test coverage. For example, you have a new feature like this between 2 states, D and F. And if you will use a common approach for software testing, I think you will usually create maybe 4 test cases, maybe 5, it doesn't matter. And you will try to cover different possible ways in this new feature. But model-based testing will create all possible ways by using algorithm, and as you see, it's really higher coverage than we will use behavior-driven testing, for example. And of course, it's really great for quality of your system. And so the process looks like this. Of course, you can use user story and requirements. After that, you need to define your test structure and create a graph of states. Yes, and you can use YAT applications, very good applications with a friendly interface. And after that, you can export your graph to Graph Walker. And of course, you need to integrate with a common automation testing framework like Selenium, Appium, Express, and I know that Graph Walker supports these integrations. And so that's all. You just push on the button, and you will see how Graph Walker will bypass to execute test cases. So. I think it's interesting, and I want to show you very interesting experience my friends from Russia, who tried to create automation test design. So they understood that first of all they have a internet platform, and they understood customers is a good resource for your test cases, for determining test coverage, and they understood that when you collect your users' data, I don't know, in Google Analytics, you can use it. And they create a plugin, or maybe a system program, doesn't matter, that can help you to transform data from Google Analytics to graph and create a graph of a model using different customers' ways in their application. So, like a graph generator. If you don't have internet application, you can use, for example, Splunk, yeah, sorry, and maybe another system of monitoring, and you need only right hands and good coding skills to create something interesting that can help your manual testers work with a graph and a state model. So, finally, if you was interested in this approach and you are thinking about someone, before start automation project, yes, you need to understand what is your system. For example, if your system I don't know, an octopus with a limp, and you have a direct forward workflow without interfering and reverting back, I think you need to implement only behavior-driven testing. Because of course you can implement model-based testing, but I think it will be so difficult, and you will need a lot of resources, and I think you won't see perfect, excellent results. So, but if you have internet applications, mobile applications, I advise you to look on model-based testing, because model-based testing can help you to reduce your code base of automation tests more than 60%. And it's really easy to support because you need to change only states, and so that's all. And of course, you need to work with your team and collaborations inside. And as I said, you need to reassign different activities from manual testers and automation experts. Because if you will think you hire automation testers and this guy will create a magic, I think it's not possible, because there are two different fields: test design, test analysis, and coding and creating automation tests. And I think there aren't a lot of software engineers who can work with both of this field. So I think that's all. Up to you. Do you have any questions?
My question is it possible to combine both approaches? For example, you said that there is a pros for behavior-driven and some pros for model-driven. Is it possible to combine them?
So I heard that you can implement Cucumber into model-based testing in Grapholker framework, but I think you need to create maybe some plugins for it. But I think yes, it is possible if you try it. But I think it's not the real solution right now. Maybe you will need to change something.
Okay. And another question: am I right that for implementing model-driven testing is the hardest part, and the most struggling part is creating this model with all the states, and then supporting of it is not really hard.
Yeah, you're right. You need to describe all possible states. It's really need to excellent knowledge of your applications, and so you need to understand how your applications work, and but you can divide, you can integrate different states model between each other, and it's possible. You can create, for example, you have a create order process. You can create a model for this process, create order, yes. For example, you have a process with your cards, purchasing. You can create another model for this, and you can decompose your system in different models and use it.
Thanks for your talk. It was really interesting. And I have a question about model-based testing. So you said we don't have test cases there, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Does that make reporting any harder in model-based testing? What does reporting look like since we have like all the different design?
So, as final result, you can see your graph with the different colors, like colors from green, red, yellow, yes, and you can use it if you if you want to something more. Yes, as I know, GraphWalker can work with Allure, and GraphWalker will will generate possible test cases. And you will see it in your, for example, automation testing framework. And or for example, you can use it for your report because, how I can say, so when GraphWalker will generate cases, or possible ways, they will generate test cases. And GraphWalker will store these test cases in a specific plugin, which he has, I think, yeah. And you can use these results and retranslate it to your, for example, Allure, if you use, for example, yes, and use it.
Okay, thanks. And one more question. In your opinion, how is it beneficial for test automation engineer to have previous experience as manual tester, since, you know, having all that QA mindset?
So I especially divide manual testers and automation, as I said, because I think it's really different fields. Because if you're after testers, you need to work with the code. You need to create frameworks, some different features for them. You need to create some interesting maybe subtleties for manual testers. Yes, and I think if you're after testing, you are interesting to work with it, not with test analysis, yes, and some analytics tasks and so. But if you want to understand how test design technique works, so it's a good way, because I think you will be appreciate employee, and I think a lot of company. Oh. Okay, and I think a lot of company will appreciate to get you for their work.